Okay. Namaste. So this is about not only thoughts, it's in general about habits, tendencies in nature, which how to get over them. They stick to us tenaciously. A person who gets angry knows later on that it's not good to be angry. It's the question of Duryodhana actually. He says, I know what is dharma, but I have no pravrti towards it. I know what is adharma, but I have no nivrati from it. So all of us have this problem. Not all of us, some are very happy with their anger, but there are some who begin to feel. It could be anger, it could be lust, it could be greed, anything, fear. And they know that this is something harmful for me and for others also. So I must get rid of it. Especially in yoga, one has to get rid of it. So how to do it? So what do we most of the time do? We just put a carpet. How do we put a carpet? It's like when somebody is coming, cover that area, cover that area. Put everything into a box, pell-mell, and shove it inside. That story of the mother when she went to visit a department and the person came to know mother is coming. So he picked up and put everything in a almirah, somehow pell-mell, and closed it. And the first thing mother comes and asks, what is in the almirah? So all the skeletons fall out. So most of us don't want to see it. So in psychology we use the word repression and suppression, and people often ask what is the difference. Repression is when you don't want to see it in yourself. So you see it in others. People who see a tendency in others, be sure it is present in them to God knows what extent. There are people who say, oh, that person is this maniac, that maniac. Sure enough, world is a mirror. It's not that it's not there in that person, but you are unfortunately seeing only that tendency. And often your mind is exaggerating it and making a fuss over it. So this, we put a carpet over it, or we just don't want to look at it. We don't want to see it. This is the first step. First is where we are not even aware of it, repressed, and we see it in others. Second is we become aware of it. But we quickly, no, I shouldn't be angry. Gone. So people divert their mind or do something about it. But it is there. How long will you keep it under the carpet? After some time it begins, it's a movement. It's not something static. So the snake or the rat below the carpet begins to, after some time, it will eat its way, come up again, it will rear its head. So what are we going to do? Again and again we do it, again it emerges. Sometimes it emerges in a very violent way, tearing through the whole cover. So how can we? First thing is to recognize that yes, there is something in me which I need to get rid of. Anger. Let's take one example. Now what are we going to do? We must see what is the originating point. I think we partly discussed it in the previous talk. But let's say anger. Why do I get anger? Stop justifying it. Oh, because somebody else. तुम मुझे गुस्सा दिला देते हो. You are the person responsible for my anger. I'll never get rid of it. That means. Also, it means I have no power over myself. It's a lack of empowerment, lack of autonomy. First thing is I get angry regardless of. It's like old Semitic thought that if a woman she has tempted me. No, sir. Woman has not tempted you. You are the fellow who got tempted. It's your fault. But people used to pass the blame. So they used to cover the woman completely in a black tent or white tent or God knows what tent, so that she does not tempt you. But then what people used to do, they used to have hundreds of women. This is what they did, no? Because you can't get rid of it like this. So what you have to do, and that's a fact. I'm not saying something which is not historical. That's a fact. So what is the way? Instead of putting a cover on it, blaming it on somebody, justifying it because of that person, you look inside, what is it that is creating a problem? Let's say anger. As I said, maybe I have too big an opinion about myself and I don't like it when somebody intrudes into that or says something which is to the contrary. Maybe I am too fussy about my routine, very rigid. I don't like when somebody, when it's time for me to eat, somebody wants to sit and talk because I have a fixed time. So rigidity. It could be of ideas. I have a viewpoint and I believe my viewpoint is the only viewpoint in the world. Somebody puts, I have seen a very unfortunate, Ukraine is the Russia war. Very nice husband-wife who used to thank the star that, we are so wonderful and we are following the same path. Both used to write. They split. Why? Because one supported Russia, the other supported Ukraine. Can you imagine? I said, come on. It's okay. You can have differences of opinion, viewpoints, but you don't have to. But this happens. I don't know what's happening in Arab-Israel war. How many homes are getting split? Though this is a fairly straight thing, good and evil is not very difficult to define here. But that's how it is. So, I have my strong opinion on things. If I am a Democrat, you speak of communism, I am going to get angry. It's okay. You can have your views. Logically, you can discuss it. Yes, of course. It's foolish to, believe that we can have equality for all without discovering the true self, which is the basis, which is the equal in all. So this is logical. The aspiration is fine, but the method is. So that way you can try to, and you can look at things, people at different stages of evolution. But otherwise, when we have a strong opinion, people begin to fight. They become abusive. They get angry. Some people get angry strangely just because salt is less in the food. And they claim to be yogis. There is a poem of Sri Aurobindo. I'm forgetting the name. Ego or I or... he said, I am egoless, free. Then swore because his dinner was not ready. I asked him, what is it? Can't understand. You said you are egoless, free. Now you are using swear words because your dinner is not ready. He said, it's not me. It's the belly god that is unsteady. So you see, even spiritual justifications people use. This is called spiritual bypassing. You use nice spiritual justification, you don't know, etc., etc. Aggrandize oneself. So you should be one has to be sincere basically. So the mother says, you discover what is it. And then she says, you'll be hiding in a corner. And it is only possible when we stop judging ourselves. I'm bad. Then you won't see. Get rid of this idea of good and bad when you are dealing with nature. If you do this, you will never get to the root of it. So she says, if you do it, it prevents offering because you don't want to see a bad thing. People often ask that, mother, in front of you, I get bad thoughts. Why? She says, perhaps because they want to be got rid of. So then when you see it, she uses a very interesting word, like a pincer. What is pincer? Eyebrow plucking or, picking out small. Pick it out, pull it out. Oh, this ambition. This is what is anger. This is triggering the lust, the fear, the greed. Pull it out, See, it will resist. Especially two things resist a lot. One is ambition and the other is sexual. And then you pick out, pull out and throw it. So you feel, but it'll come back again because it's in the atmosphere. Now it has not gone in the subconscious. You have not thrown in the carpet, but it is gone in the environment. You think it's gone. So unsuspecting moment because you have not done anything else to it. You have only diagnosed, but you have done nothing. It's like, I have got cholesterol, but you are not changing your diet. You're not changing your lifestyle. So it comes back. This time you will see, this is it, but I have to change something inside me. So you begin to change. And this change can go to what extent? The other day I was telling that, Indian culture, many things which are so beautiful. Like we don't shake hands. We do namaste. Leave aside symbol and all. You know what is shaking of hands? A transaction of forces. And this is, Shobinda, is a letter to it. So we are not even conscious about what we are doing, why we are doing, and we think it's a lifestyle. I'm not saying you should not shake hands. So, no, sir, from today I'm not going to shake hands. It doesn't mean that, but be conscious. You are entering into a contact, and through the contact, things may enter you. So you should be careful with whom you are doing, what you are doing, how you are eating, where you are eating. All these things, we have to lead a more conscious life. So we have to become more and more conscious. With the growth of consciousness, these things we get rid of. But more importantly, we have to watch over our thoughts. Two more things which are important, which go with it. Watching over our thoughts. We become conscious of these movements when thoughts it takes. And when they take the form of thought, then they become very powerful. They insist. It's like a bee humming. Bee going around is bad enough. But now the bee is humming. So it's very distracting. So how to get rid of these thoughts? Few ways. One is simple way. Divert your mind. Do something. Arrange your cupboard. Do something nice. Turn your mind away. This is the commonest one. Work. Take up work. After some time, the humming bee will go somewhere else because it's moving around. Whoever is a recipient, it will go there. Don't worry. There are plenty of people who want that bee because they think it's a bee which will give honey. But it's not the honey bee to give you bee, it is the honey bee which will sting you. But so anyway, so it will go away when you tell them. But it will come back because it's out of habit. If you keep expressing it, it will strengthen. Now you have formed a nexus between thought and nervous system and the action. So even when it is there in the thought, try ways and means, keep offering it, turn the mind away. Rise in aspiration, burn it away, try to burn it. You can have an image that fire of aspiration is actually burning it. And then it will go away. But like Rakt Beej, certain things come from the environmental consciousness. You live in an atmosphere, so it'll come from there, where poison is from every side. So that's why the mother speaks about shielding yourself. Shielding oneself is very simple. Only were safe who kept God in their hearts. A prayer upon, here must the traveler of the upward way, for winding through hell, turns the heavenward path. Pause or pass slowly. If probed, no keen discernment's point. You can't, if you try to probe, okay, let me experience it and see. You will be caught in falsity's endless net. So what we should do? This is a prayer upon the lips and the great name. Casting a javelin regard in front, the eyes ready to scout, the hand to smite, children and soldiers of the army of light. So casting a javelin regard means your discernment is able to see where is it likely to lead you. That's the javelin regard. Eyes ready to scout, mark those little things which are going to trigger or take you in a certain direction. Eyes ready to scout, hand ready to smite immediately. So this is how it's difficult. It takes years, sometimes decades. For certain difficulties, it may take decades. Because especially in the integral yoga, it may take decades because a person walking this path is bearing not only his own burden, but the burden of terrestrial nature. So as his consciousness widens, now it is no more his anger, but anger as a problem in earth nature. That comes later on because each one is a representative. Shobindra explains that, Mother also explains that in this yoga particularly, this is how people engaged in this yoga are helping the world. People often ask, because you are taking, it's like a laboratory. You are a laboratory. You yourself are the laboratory. And these things are coming which you are working upon, and when you work upon them, it has an impact upon the world at large. So in this yoga, it becomes more tenacious, more pernicious, and that's why two things that help us go through is faith, endurance, which is perseverance. Any amount your faith is intact, you get up and walk. You'll see all the stages. And of course, surrender. Keep offering, keep surrendering. The Divine Mother has her ways. She will find the way to get you rid of it. But you have to keep on invoking that sincerity inside yourself. And if one cannot, then well, the world is there which is full of these vibrations. That's why she created the ashram and Auroville. And that's why these centers, because there should be places where you are relatively, it's like a safe zone, not completely safe because nothing can be immune, but still a kind of formation. And people who live here begin to feel the difference when they are here and when they move out. Because they feel it, that air it changes. So this was the purpose. It was not just suddenly now I'm in the ashram, I'm doing yoga, because she has created a special formation. So that it's not easy for these things to enter. Still they'll enter because the hubs are human beings. You can't stop human beings. It's not like a monastery in the Himalayan gorge, and that would besides be not the final solution, because the final solution has to be found in the place where the problem lies, in the midst of that challenge. Therefore, Sri Aurobindo made this ashram so conterminous with life. It doesn't have a fixed boundary. And yet, she has taken everybody in a kind of a cocoon or an occult atmosphere, like a formation. So all these are ways to facilitate getting rid of these movements. It's a long journey. That's why one has to be steady, persevering. Those who want quick result, they can have McDonald's, paying some money. Those who want well-cooked meal, wait, Mama will cook it on the original fire and serve you wood oven pizza. Okay, not pizza, wood oven chapati. Thank you. Namaste.